All right, open up with Murray State practice today. Head coach Mitch Stewart, who I know well and was at Valdosta State when I was there before. He's been part of Chris Hatcher's staff and kind of played for Chris and got a lot of respect for the job he's been able to do there at Murray. Also excited about this weekend with the naming of Dooley Field. I think that's a tremendous honor for him, one that he deserves, and one that so many dog fans can associate with through the history that he's done. And his family, his wife Barbara, have been such a great part of the Athens community and the University of Georgia. Such a great honor for him. So we're excited to do that as well this weekend. With that, I'll open it up.
Coach Dooley, do you remember what, obviously you played with Coach Goff
Mm-hmm.
here. Do you remember what your first interactions were when you first kind of met Coach Dooley?
As a player, he would come in and talk to the team. Annually, he would come speak to the team in the team meeting room when we played for Coach Goff, and I remember that. I had some interactions with him on Student Athletic Council and things like that, but he's always been tremendous to me. My first real meaningful interactions were probably at LSU when Derek was coaching, and he would come over to games and be around the staff, and been up at the lake where my parents live, and they had a home up there. So Coach Dooley's been unbelievable to my family, my parents, and also to me. So I'm just honored that he could do this and that we could get the field name for him.
Kirby, how much do you use external things as motivation? I mean, the SEC East, South Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri all go down as either favorites or decided favorites. Do you use that for motivational stuff, or would you this week, or do you motivate more from within?
Yeah, that nothing that those programs have going on has anything to do with us. I mean, we're 100% concerned with the improvements we have to make. We've got so much work to do from a discipline standpoint, timing and passing game, a lot of things to work on that our focus is us and our opponent, Murray State.
How much was some of the issues you just spoke of, first game typical, or
What issues are those?
well, you said talking about some of the discipline issues and issues, things of that nature that you were, how much of that?
Some decision making, some aggressive, some just poor decisions. I mean, each one different, because sometimes being aggressive is a good thing. It can help you, and sometimes making poor decisions kills you in big moments. Can't have them, so you make sure you expose them to it. You try to put them in the same situation again, and encourage them to make better decisions.
On the short yardage plays, I mean, it seems elementary. You got big, strong offensive linemen, great running backs, and 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 don't happen. What's going wrong on those plays, and what's the fix? Is it getting?
Well, we ran the same play earlier in the game and got a first. So if you look at it and analyze it, the exact same play was run in the exact same situation. It worked once, it didn't work once. So it really boils down to execution, making sure that each guy does his job, that you control the line of scrimmage, that you give yourself a chance to be successful. And we're always trying to improve in those.
Kirby, when you look overall, when you watch the film, how did you evaluate the ability to affect the quarterback generally?
Good in some cases and poor in some, which is usually the case every game. You wish you could do more. We had some good 4-man rushes that we got him out of the pocket and didn't contain him, and we had some that we did better than others. So it's usually the case when you play teams in the SEC. They've got a plan to get the ball out quickly. You got to have a plan to counteract that, and you got to mix and mingle how much you rush more than 4, and you got to be able to rush 3 and drop 8. You really got to be multiple and be able to do it, especially this week with the Murray State team that's able to get the ball out quickly.
What's the word on Curious Jackson? I think he was saying next week.
Yeah, he's got a couple different breaks, but he's going to be out for a little while. He should be back in the club shortly, but we don't know how long he's going to be out. It could be 3 to 4 weeks, but it'll be week to week once we get him back. So he's going to get it repaired, and it was a tough hit he took right on the hand, and we'll get him back as soon as we can.
Coach Aziz was in on one of those sacks the other day for y'all. What have you seen out of him to kind of help him become that?
Effort, toughness, brings a great attitude every day to work. I mean, the guy practices his tail off every day, and I thought our defensive staff did a tremendous job of showing clips today of where guys had the same practice rep they had in the game, and they used a tool from the practice to help them in the game, and it's just a great indicator of how practice carries over to games.
Coach, Saturday,
you were speaking about how this team hasn't scratched the surface of where they can go. So as you watch these guys, when are you able to see that potential of where this team can go this season, and also where are some areas this team has to improve?
We got to improve in every area. I mean, we're and there's not an area that we're like comfortable. I don't think we're comfortable anywhere. I mean, you can say, well, we scored the opening drive. Are we comfortable there? No. I mean, we're not comfortable there. There's things we didn't execute well. Blocking on the perimeter. We had some good blocks on the perimeter. We had some missed blocks on the perimeter. Tackling. We had some really good tackles, and then we had some really terrible tackling. So, I mean, there's not really anywhere. I think that you got to be careful how much you delve into one game. When we got an opportunity to go out to practice today and get better at everything we didn't do well, including the things we did do well.
Coach, what are you banking on? Was there anything about this team that we haven't seen or recognized yet that you know was there, that you're banking on?
Well, I'm banking on habits. I mean, that's what I really believe. The fundamentals of football, what's important. Why is it important to do it right day in and day out? Explaining that and then having them do it. I'm banking on the overall fundamentals and effort of a practice to create habits that show up in the game. And if good habits show up in practice, they tend to show up in the game. If bad habits show up in practice, they tend to show up in the game. My history as a coach is the guy that shows his colors on the practice field is probably going to do the same thing on the field, game field, and that's going to repeat itself. So in a good way or a negative way, that'll happen. You can't read too much into it or overanalyze it to the point of who is this team? It is what it is. We got to go out and get this team better. We got to get our 70th guy better all the way to our first guy better and keep improving.
You were talking, Coach, how tough it was to come up with a 70-man roster, a lot of guys you want to look at. What are some of the guys that weren't able to make that trip that you're eager to get a look at?
All of them. I mean, we're going to have an opportunity for every guy to go out there, practice, and get better, and those guys get an opportunity to grow and get better. And I'm excited about the guys that get a chance to play this week that didn't travel.
You talk about forming habits and things like that. How far do games like this against Murray State go in forming those habits in game competition for guys that might not get to play late down the line?
Well, I think at first you're assuming that we're going to get to play a lot of those guys, and I don't assume that. I think Murray State's got a great program. They got a lot of tempo. They do a great job offensively and defensively. So, you know, we're going in that we've got to beat Murray State. We've got to go in and execute and get better during the week on us, and then go out and play Murray State. You know, and you hope a lot of guys get to play, but we don't know the outcome of a game. I think you're assuming that you get to play more guys. We get to play more guys in practice. That's what I do know, and they're going to get a chance to get better.
On Demetrius Robertson, obviously, he had guys in front of him last year, but did he benefit? Did he learn stuff as far as route running, blocking, and stuff by going through practice?
Absolutely. I mean, every player, I think, benefits from that experience, getting to block, be part of things. And Demetrius wasn't that far off what he was last year. He has some really good football players in front of him, and you're going to play the best guys that got experience doing it, and he's getting his opportunity now to do it, and he's got to continue to work because there's good players behind him now. And a lot of the plays he had weren't necessarily designed for D-Rob. The defense gave D-Rob the opportunity. If they play a different coverage on the deep ball, it doesn't go to him. If they play a different front on the rocket sweep, it doesn't go to him. So it's a lot of things are dictated by what the defense does.
The adage that a college football team makes its most improvement from the first game to the second game. In your years, do you find that true?
It's probably true, but it's also true of the team you're playing. So the greatest leap is there, but it's relative because if we all leap, then we're all getting better, and most of the time the anxiety is removed. And you can say there's anxiety in just the freshmen. There's a lot of guys out there that were sophomores that hadn't played a lot of snaps for us that have anxiety, and you get to see them react. They get more comfortable, but Murray State's the same way.
What led you to putting Trayvon Walker on the kickoff team, and what did you sort of see out of him in his first college game?
He's one of the best 11 guys that we could put out there. He's extremely athletic. He's got spatial awareness. He understands blocking schemes. He's hard to block, and he runs fast. So we want the best 11 players we can put on our special teams, and he's one of them.
Looked like Malik Herring didn't play. It was a guy that is that right? Just looking at the stats, he's a guy expected to.
Yeah, we talked about it after the game, that if he continues to practice and get better, then he'll play.
Could Julian Rochester come out if he needed to?
Yeah, Julian's there. We take guys that can play. I mean, Julian was there. Julian continues to get better, gain health, and put himself in a better situation.
After Saturday's game, Swift, I was talking to him, and he said he felt like he left some plays out there. 147 yards, I think it was like 9 yards per carry. He still wasn't happy, not satisfied at all. Is that something you've always seen from him?
Well, I think we see it from all our players. I mean, to say that you're perfect or that you play a perfect game, it doesn't exist. Again, we're in pursuit of excellence, not perfection. I wouldn't think he would say he played excellent. I mean, go back and watch some of those runs. I don't think he got touched for the first 10 to 15 yards, and some of that's Charlie Warner and Solomon Kinley and Ben Cleveland. And then when he makes guys miss, I think that's where he measures his skill set. He made a lot of people miss, but there's probably some opportunities in there where he could have made a different cut, got more yards, could have made maybe a couple guys miss, and that's a great competitor to me, is trying to figure out what I can do better to help the team. Not, look at me, I had 9 yards of carry. How could it have been 11?
At right guard, did Cade or Ben kind of pull away in the last game, or are we going to continue to see a rotation?
Oh, all those guys will keep working hard. They're developing. They compete. I'm proud of the way that group works. Hopeful to get Jamari back soon and get him out there competing. But all those guys have done a great job.
What about guys behind Monty and Tay? Quay looked like he got a lot of snaps, and would Nakobe, if he hadn't missed that week, would he figure in?
And Kobe's hurting still. I mean, we didn't think we thought he was close to being able to go in the game, and it was still bothering Nakobe. He's not 100% yet. He was tough enough to get to go out there and try to go on it, but didn't feel like he could go 100%. So we held him out after that, and Quay got quite a few snaps, and he's continuing to grow. Quay keeps getting better.
As far as Amir, did you see any relief on his face after the game? Anybody talk to him about being back on the field?
I think the relief probably came after the scrimmages, because that was their first real opportunity. I think he was anxious to get out there and go run the ball the other night, and thought he did a good job with his opportunities. He's got to hang on to the ball. The guy did a good job, coming up behind him and punching it. But he continues to get better and get healthier, and I think his sky's the limit because he'll continue to improve. He improves through protection and reps and get more opportunities.
Do you typically? You said after the game you were going to go best on best. I mean, is that a typical comeback from each week or after a first game, or was that in response to good not being good enough?
No, we do that every week. I mean, it's not about who we play; it's about what we do. And we always say that to get better, you got to go against the best, and we like competing against ourselves. That's what this program's built on, is competition. So we'll get an opportunity to go good on good all this week.
You talked a little bit about how Jake Fromm allows the running game to flourish. So what is it that kind of allows the running game to flourish? How does Jake Fromm allow that to happen?
He makes a lot of decisions that people don't understand. I don't think anybody in the room would understand what he's doing when he's doing some of the mechanics, and some of it's pass, some of it's run, some of it's nothing, and some of it's window dressing. But he does that so that we can be successful, so that people don't get a beat on what we're doing, and it's not easy to do. Some of the rules he's got is complicated, and I don't need to get into it right now with you guys. It'd take me another 30 minutes to explain what he's doing on half the stuff, but he does a nice job of making sure that we're in successful plays. And as a defensive coordinator, I can tell you, because I go against him every day, it's frustrating because it's hard to be right a lot of times. So,
Kirby, you have some 5-star rated running backs in your backfield. Brian Herrion's not one of those guys. What has he done to put himself in position to be an important cog on your run game?
Yeah, what does that mean? What does 5-star rating mean? Because when Brian came out, in my mind, he was rated just as high as the guys that are here. So I don't give relevance to those numbers, because I knew Brian as an 11th grader. I knew him as a senior. I knew him when he came to camp. I knew him when we went through the recruiting process, and just as talented as those guys. He wasn't from some of the same places, and he didn't have his academics as much in order. But Brian plays with a chip on his shoulder because of that, but I never perceived Brian to be any less than other guys.
And in terms of his
journey, I guess, kind of bouncing off that. I remember he signed late, had the academic troubles, as you said, and now he I mean, and now he's just on this track and started with it, right? How has he kind of gone through that, handled that? What has been his motivation, I guess?
Yeah, you probably have to ask him what his motivation is, but his practice habits have always been really good. Brian loves football. Brian's out there. I mean, he competes on special teams. He runs the ball hard. He was on the scout team for a while. He carried the ball one spring more than anybody because Sony and Nick weren't getting many reps. I mean, Brian, we've said it before, guys, Brian is a worker. He's earned the right to get these carries because last year he didn't get as many opportunities as he probably wanted. And, you know, looking back, maybe we should have gave him some more opportunities because he earns it by the way he practices, and he's taking advantage of those opportunities right now.
You talked about Quay getting a chance to play a little bit on Saturday. What would be your kind of overall thoughts about how your inside linebackers played against Vanderbilt?
Well, we got to play better. We got to play better at every position. Defensive line, secondary, tackling, communication, had some busts up front, affecting the quarterback, stopping the run, not getting stretched. At inside backer is no different. We just got a long way to go, a lot to improve, and we'll do that. Those kids are eager to learn and get better, and we're not where we need to be as a team, but especially as a defensive unit and offensive unit. Push. They got to control the run game. When they get an opportunity to rush the passer, they've got to be successful. They've got to affect the quarterback, and we've got to give them an opportunity to get one-on-ones by bringing more people than four, so they're not fighting two people as much as we possibly can and be effective. But I mean, not disappointed with the effort. I mean, they didn't give up a touchdown in college football today. Guys, I don't care who you're playing. It's hard to do, and they played hard, and they played well in the red area. And we got to do a lot of things better.
Was there anything you saw in film that you didn't see during the game? Were there any pleasant surprises that you maybe didn't pick up on?
I can't say anything stuck out. No, I mean, I thought the movement up front was probably what I thought it was going to be. The guys are physical. I see them go against our guys every day. The blocking on the perimeter, I noticed it more in the game, but I was pleased for the most part. We got some guys that got to buy into that and know that perimeter blocking can make you really explosive offensively. Defensively, I thought the corners held up well and, didn't get an opportunity to make a lot of plays on the ball, but they covered guys well.
Follow up on that, Eli Wolf at fullback. He's a tight end.
It was goal line. It's goal line. That's what people do at goal line. So go study goal line, and we don't have a fullback. So when we go goal line, he was the fullback for this game, but he's not a fullback if that's what you're asking.
You mentioned Matt Landers after the game, him and Demetrius Robertson blocking the gunner. I thought it was kind of interesting. Matt didn't play special teams in either of his first 2 years at Georgia. They didn't actually get on the field to do those things, but all of a sudden, game one, dominant special teamer. What does that say kind of about how far he's come, what kind of attitude he's
come a long way. Matt and I have had our differences on the practice field many a time, and Matt has come a long way. And I think Matt's finally figured out that if I play special teams and I play good, then I've got an opportunity to contribute on offense and maybe even get some balls. So you earn the right to do that by how you compete, what you do, and he's come a long way. I'm really proud of Matt and how he's grown up. He's still got a ways to go, but Matt has come a long way from a freshman that had probably never played special teams.
Targeted Pickens several times, but he wasn't able to come down with the receptions. What did you see from him? What needs?
I don't think those are targets. I think those were, one was a max blitz. So the max blitz didn't say we're targeting him. That's something the defense did to dictate that. There were a couple times the look he happened to be in. I mean, it's like Matt Landers called a comeback on their sideline that if that would have been George would have been in. It just the coverage dictated where the ball went. So sometimes that's controlled by that. But I don't think there's anything that he could have done different to have a ball call. Some of it was what people did around him to affect it. What he controls is how he blocks, how he runs his route, and what kind of effort and toughness he plays with. And I thought that he did a good job doing that.
Matt thing. I wanted to ask, some kids you probably have to go 13 rounds with to get them where they're going, and then other kids just kind of go at it on their own. Is it a little bit more rewarding sometimes to see those kids that you do have to stay on and stay hard for them to finally get to where they're going and finally make that decision to get better?
Absolutely. The blessing you get as a coach is when you see a kid have success that has worked so hard for it. Sometimes it comes more natural. Sometimes kids come into really good situations and they're forced into playing maybe before they should. But then sometimes a guy goes the hard way and a guy works. And you look at Justin Young, who's been nothing but a worker since he's been here. You look at Mike Barnett, nothing but a worker, and then to see him have success. You know, Matt is the same way. He's not as old as those guys, but Matt's worked tremendously hard to get where he is, and he started to buy in the culture of a program. It's the reason why when kids stay, they're usually successful, and they'll be more successful in life because they've gone through hard times. Thanks.